The bright lights of the awards hall felt like spotlights on a confession Grayson wasn't sure he was ready to make. As he squeezed Samuel's hand tighter backstage, the decorated cop realized this night would either make or break everything he'd built. His uniform felt heavier than usual, the gold medal pinned to his chest a reminder of the bullet he had taken 6 months earlier to save a child during a domestic call gone wrong. But the real weight came from the man standing beside him, Samuel, whose steady gaze held years of quiet patience and unspoken pain. Grayson glanced at the heavy velvet curtains separating them from the crowded ballroom, where colleagues, superiors, and city officials waited for the annual NYPD Bravery Awards. His heart hammered against his ribs. One step through that curtain with Samuel at his side would shatter the carefully constructed walls he had spent a decade building. It hadn't always been this way. 3 years earlier, Grayson had been the picture of the ideal officer. Tall, broad-shouldered, with sharp blue eyes and a no-nonsense jawline that made suspects think twice. At 29, he patrolled the streets of Brooklyn with the kind of focus that earned him respect in a precinct full of tough veterans. His childhood in a conservative upstate town had taught him early that feelings were private, especially feelings for other men. His father, a retired firefighter, still sent him articles about traditional values, and his mother called every Sunday asking when he'd bring home a nice girl. So Grayson dated a few women in college, kept things surface level, and threw himself into the academy. The badge became his shield. Then came the call that changed everything. A rainy Tuesday afternoon, dispatch sent him to a rundown apartment building after neighbors reported shouting. Inside, he found a single mother hysterical and her 8-year-old son bleeding from a gash on his forehead. The father had fled, but the boy needed stitches. While paramedics worked, Grayson noticed the social worker already on scene. Samuel, clipboard in hand, calm voice cutting through the chaos as he coordinated with child services. Samuel was 27 then, with warm brown eyes, dark curls that fell across his forehead, and a quiet strength that made the room feel steadier. He wore a simple button-down and jeans, but carried himself like someone who had seen too much and still chose kindness. Their first conversation lasted only minutes. "You got here fast," Samuel said, offering a small smile while handing Grayson a statement form. "Most cops don't stick around for the paperwork." Grayson shrugged, trying to ignore how the man's voice settled something restless inside him. Part of the job. But when Samuel handed him a business card for follow-up on the case, their fingers brushed, and something electric passed between them. Grayson pocketed the card and told himself it was nothing. Weeks later, the case closed, but Grayson couldn't stop thinking about those brown eyes. He called under the pretense of checking on the boy. Samuel answered on the second ring. They met for coffee near the precinct, then again for lunch. Conversations stretched late into the night, Samuel talking about his work helping at-risk families in Queens, Grayson sharing stories from the streets that he never told anyone else. Samuel was out and proud, raised by 2 moms in Manhattan, comfortable in his skin in a way Grayson envied. "I spent too many years hiding," Samuel said one evening over Thai takeout in his small apartment. "Life's too short." Grayson nodded but changed the subject, the familiar fear twisting in his gut. Their first kiss happened on a crisp autumn night after a long walk through Prospect Park. Samuel stopped under a street lamp, turned to him, and simply asked, "Can I?" Grayson's answer was the press of his lips, tentative at first, then fierce with all the years he had held back. In that moment, the world narrowed to Samuel's warmth, the faint scent of his cologne, and the way his hand cupped Grayson's face like it was something precious. They didn't rush. Dates turned into weekends spent exploring the city, museums, quiet dinners, late-night talks on Samuel's fire escape. Grayson felt alive for the first time, but every sunrise brought the same dread. At the precinct, jokes about real men flew around the locker room. His partner, Mike, once clapped him on the back after a tough shift and said, "You need a wife to come home to, man. Keeps you grounded." Grayson laughed it off, but the words stuck. Samuel never pushed. He understood the risks, the department's slow progress on LGBTQ inclusion, the way promotions could vanish with one rumor. "I'm here when you're ready," He'd whisper after Grayson slipped out of his apartment before dawn to avoid being seen. But the secrecy carved little wounds. Grayson missed Samuel's work events, canceled plans when colleagues suggested beers, and introduced him only as a friend from that old case. Samuel smiled through it, but Grayson saw the flicker of hurt in his eyes. Still, their love grew in stolen moments, quiet mornings making breakfast, hands linked under restaurant tables, whispered promises in the dark. Grayson told himself it was enough, until the night everything nearly fell apart. The argument started small but snowballed fast. It was Samuel's birthday, and Grayson had promised a quiet dinner at their favorite Italian place in the village. He arrived late, uniform still on, apologizing about overtime. Samuel waited at the table, a single candle flickering beside 2 glasses of wine. "You look tired," Samuel said softly, reaching across to squeeze his hand. Grayson pulled away instinctively when the waiter approached. The small gesture landed like a slap. Samuel's jaw tightened. "I'm not asking you to hold a pride flag in the precinct parking lot, Gray. Just acknowledge me. In public. Once." Grayson's chest ached. "You know what my job is like. One whisper and I'm sidelined. Mike already suspects something. He asked why I never talk about dating." Samuel leaned back, eyes glistening. "And what did you say?" "I changed the subject." The silence stretched. Samuel finally spoke, voice low. "I love you, but I'm tired of being your secret. My moms keep asking to meet the guy who makes me smile like this. Your parents still think you're single and straight. How long do we keep pretending?" Grayson wanted to argue, to promise it would change, but the words caught. That night they slept on opposite sides of the bed for the first time. The next weeks tested them. Grayson's father called with news of a family reunion in Albany, insisting he bring a nice girl. Grayson lied and said he was working. Samuel's mother invited them both to a gallery opening. Grayson sent flowers instead with a note about a stakeout. The distance grew. At work, tensions rose too. A new sergeant made offhand comments about those rainbow types during roll call. Grayson kept his head down, but the fear burrowed deeper. One evening after a brutal shift involving a hate crime against a gay couple, he showed up at Samuel's door unannounced, uniform rumpled. They didn't speak at first, just held each other on the couch while rain lashed the windows. "I'm scared," Grayson admitted finally, voice cracking. Samuel stroked his hair. "I know, but hiding is killing us both." They tried harder after that. Grayson attended Samuel's work fundraiser, sitting in the back row and slipping out early. Samuel started leaving small notes in Grayson's gear bag, encouraging words that made long nights bearable. Their love deepened in the quiet ways that mattered. Samuel learning to cook Grayson's mother's meatloaf recipe, Grayson surprising him with tickets to a Broadway show he knew Samuel loved. Yet the cracks remained. When Samuel's best friend got engaged and asked them both to the wedding, Grayson hesitated. "I can't risk it." Samuel nodded, but the light in his eyes dimmed. That weekend alone, Grayson sat in his empty apartment staring at photos on his phone, wondering how much longer he could ask Samuel to wait. Then came the call that shifted everything. A high-risk warrant service in a dangerous block. Grayson's team moved in at dawn. Shots rang out. He tackled a fleeing suspect, taking a graze to the shoulder. In the chaos, he thought only of Samuel. How he hadn't said, "I love you," that morning because Mike was waiting in the car. Hospital lights blurred as they stitched him up. Samuel arrived an hour later, pale and shaking, ignoring the curious glances from officers in the waiting room. He gripped Grayson's hand openly. "Don't ever scare me like that again." For the first time, Grayson didn't pull away. A few nurses smiled knowingly. Mike raised an eyebrow but said nothing. The incident planted a seed. Maybe the world wasn't as unforgiving as he feared. Recovery gave them time. Grayson was sidelined for 6 weeks, and Samuel took leave to care for him. They cooked together, watched old movies, and talked late into the night about dreams they'd buried. Samuel opened up about his own struggles. Growing up with parents who fought for every right, watching friends lose jobs because of who they loved. Grayson shared stories of his teenage years, the guilt after church sermons, the nights he cried alone. "I want to be brave like you," he told Samuel one afternoon on the rooftop. Samuel kissed his temple. "You already are. You just haven't let the world see it yet." The Bravery Award nomination came unexpectedly. The department recognized Grayson's quick actions that saved the child months earlier. The same call where he first met Samuel. Captain pulled him aside. "You're getting the medal, son. Ceremony's next month. Bring someone special if you want." Grayson's stomach flipped. He told Samuel that night over dinner. Samuel's face lit up. "I'll be there. Front row." But doubt lingered. Grayson's parents planned to attend, flying in from Albany. His mother had already asked about that nice friend Samuel from past vague mentions. The pressure mounted. Family dinner the week before the ceremony was a disaster. Grayson's parents arrived at his apartment. Samuel cooked lasagna, laughing easily with Grayson's mom about gardening. But when his father asked pointed questions about Samuel's roommate situation, the air thickened. Grayson froze. Samuel covered smoothly, changing the subject, but later in the kitchen he whispered, "I can't keep being your roommate forever." Grayson's mother sensed the tension and pulled him aside. "He seems wonderful, honey, whoever he is to you." Her words hung like hope and terror combined. That night Grayson lay awake, Samuel's even breathing beside him, wondering if love required this much courage. Work brought its own storm. A new transfer, Officer Reyes, overheard a conversation and made a crude joke in the locker room about pretty boys on the force. Grayson confronted him quietly, but the rumor mill started. Mike pulled him aside later. "People talk, Gray. If there's truth to it, just know I've got your back." The support surprised him, but fear won. He skipped the precinct barbecue Samuel had hoped to attend together. Samuel didn't argue, but the hurt was clear. "I'm not mad," he said. "I'm sad for us." Their first real breakup talk followed, voices raised, tears shed. Samuel packed an overnight bag. "I love you enough to walk away if staying means you hate yourself." Grayson begged him to stay. They fell asleep tangled together, exhausted but still holding on. The heroic act that sealed the award came 2 weeks later. A bank robbery in progress, Grayson off desk duty. He negotiated for 3 hours, talking a scared young gunman down without a single shot. The mayor praised him publicly. Samuel watched the news clip, pride shining in his eyes. "That's the man I love," he said simply. Grayson felt the shift inside, like something long caged was finally stretching its wings. He started picturing a different future. Samuel at holiday parties, holding hands in public, building a life without shadows. But the ceremony loomed, and with it, the biggest choice of his life. Rumors exploded the week before the awards. Someone, Reyes, Grayson suspected, leaked a photo from Samuel's Instagram showing the two of them at a quiet dinner, arms around each other. It circulated in the precinct group chat with laughing emojis and worse. Grayson's phone blew up. Captain called him in. "We don't care who you love, but optics matter. Handle it quietly." Grayson left the office shaking. That evening he found Samuel waiting with takeout and open arms. "I saw the chat. I'm sorry." Samuel's voice was steady. "This is your career. If you need to step back—" "No." Grayson cut in fiercely. "I'm done hiding, but I'm scared of losing everything." They stayed up talking until dawn, weighing options. Samuel offered to skip the ceremony. Grayson refused. "I want you there. I need you there." The betrayal cut deeper when Grayson's father called after hearing whispers through old department friends. "Son, is this true? You and that Samuel kid?" The disappointment in his voice cracked something inside Grayson. He hung up and cried for the first time in years while Samuel held him. "They'll come around," Samuel whispered, "or they won't. But I'm not going anywhere." The support from unexpected places helped. Mike showed up at Grayson's door with beer and said, "Pride Month is every month in my book." Even a few younger officers sent encouraging texts. Still, the internal battle raged. Grayson questioned everything. Was the badge worth losing his family? Was love worth risking his livelihood? Samuel faced his own crisis. His work with at-risk youth brought a tough case, a teenager kicked out for being gay. Helping the boy stirred old memories, and Samuel broke down one night. "I don't want that for you. Or for us." Grayson made a promise then. No more secrets after the ceremony. They spent the final days preparing, practicing what Grayson might say, choosing Samuel's suit, stealing moments of laughter amid the fear. On the morning of the awards, Grayson woke with Samuel's head on his chest. "Whatever happens tonight," he said, "I choose you." Samuel smiled through tears. "I've always known that." The drive to the grand hall was quiet. Grayson's hand never left Samuel's on the console. Backstage, the noise of the crowd filtered through. Captain clapped him on the shoulder, eyes flicking to Samuel with a nod of respect. Grayson's parents arrived, tension thick but present. His mother hugged Samuel warmly. His father managed a handshake. Small victories. As the ceremony began, Grayson's pulse thundered. The moment approached. He turned to Samuel backstage, voice steady for the first time in years. "Come with me when they call my name." Samuel's eyes widened, then filled with understanding. "You sure?" "More than anything." The announcer's voice echoed through the hall. "For exceptional bravery in the line of duty, Officer Grayson Thompson." Applause swelled. Grayson stood, legs surprisingly steady. He reached for Samuel's hand and didn't let go. Together they stepped through the curtain into blinding lights. Cameras flashed. Whispers rippled. Grayson kept walking, Samuel beside him. Their fingers intertwined for the entire world to see. The medal felt lighter now. He climbed the steps to the podium, Samuel right there, proud and unwavering. The captain handed over the award, eyes wide but professional. Grayson took the microphone, heart full. "I've worn this uniform for 10 years, he began, voice clear across the silent room. "It taught me courage, but it also taught me to hide. Tonight I'm done hiding. This man beside me, Samuel, is the reason I'm standing here. He's my partner in every way that matters. His love gave me the strength to run into danger and the reason to come home safe." Gasp scattered, then quiet. Samuel squeezed his hand, tears shining. Grayson continued, sharing just enough. The struggles, the fear, the growth. "I almost lost the best part of my life because I was afraid. If my story helps even one officer or young person know they don't have to choose between who they are and who they love, then this medal means everything." He turned to Samuel, pulled him close, and kissed him softly. Chaste, heartfelt, real. The room held its breath. Then the unexpected happened. A single clap from the back. Mike. Another joined. Then the entire hall rose. Standing ovation thundered, not out of obligation but genuine respect. Grayson's parents stood too, his mother wiping tears, his father nodding slowly with something like pride breaking through. Samuel laughed through his own tears, forehead pressed to Grayson's. In that moment, years of weight lifted. The journey had been long. Secret nights, painful arguments, family strain, workplace whispers. But every step led here. Grayson felt whole for the first time. Afterward, hugs and handshakes came from every direction. Colleagues who once joked now congratulated them. Samuel's moms called immediately, cheering. Even Grayson's father pulled him aside later. "Took me a minute, son. But I see how he looks at you. That's what matters." Small steps, but forward. The night ended with the two of them walking out into the cool New York air. Hands still linked, city lights glittering like possibility. Weeks later, life settled into a new rhythm. Grayson returned to patrols with his head high. Samuel continued his work, now openly introducing Grayson at events. They moved in together officially, filling the apartment with shared memories. Photos from the ceremony on the mantle, the medal displayed proudly. Challenges remained. A few cold shoulders at family gatherings, the occasional ignorant comment on the street. But they faced them together, stronger. Grayson mentored younger officers struggling with identity. Samuel advocated for LGBTQ youth programs. Their love had transformed from hidden flame to steady beacon. Looking back, Grayson marveled at the path. From that rainy apartment call to this bright future, every misunderstanding, every sacrifice, every moment of doubt had shaped them. Samuel's patience taught him courage. His own fears taught him compassion. The award wasn't just for bravery on the job. It was for the bravery of choosing love openly. Friends gathered for a quiet celebration, toasting the couple whose story had inspired so many. Grayson watched Samuel laugh across the room and felt overwhelming gratitude. The journey wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. And in the end, that made all the difference. True or false? In today's society, a gay man in law enforcement can fully embrace his identity without sacrificing his career?